Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your March 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So I was looking to see what signs I needed to do, and I just noticed that I did Aries twice, and I said, well, I better do Taurus since it's right down the line. And then I thought I already did Taurus. I don't know. But anyway, March is going to be a great month. I'm certainly looking forward to it. After a very sleepy February, at least that's how it's been for me. Now, I live in the Chicago area where there's a lot of snow, and usually February, it's like moving towards the spring. And this year we had a fairly warm January, and I thought we were out of the woods, and we just had tons of snow, below zero weather. And I know there have been some places with freak weather, like Texas, for instance, where it has just been devastating, actually. So this is during the Mercury retrograde. And one of the things that happened, and I'm saying this because as I record this, Mercury is going direct today on February 20th. Yay, it's going direct. But one of the things that happens during a Mercury retrograde is that your plans can get deterred. And this is one of the reasons why, as a Taurus, you have to be able to go with the flow. And it's not something that comes naturally to you, but you can do it if you're consciously aware of, the resistance that you are giving to situations that are coming out of left field. And especially Taurus with Uranus transiting your sign, this is going to be something that is expansive for you, because it will allow you to roll with the punches and even on your own end to initiate change that brings about greater freedom. It's not just about some kind of freak thing happening and then you having to react to it in a positive way. I'm talking about you taking the initiative and making radical changes in your life. And sometimes, those kinds of things are disruptive and maybe not a good idea, but sometimes they are very much a good type of disruption because they disrupt a rut, something that has, crystallized and needs to be dissolved, I think is the best way of putting it. March is a month where Mercury comes out of its shadow on the very same day that there is a new moon in Pisces. And I try to make connections with that because I think that it almost seems like, to me, since Pisces represents the spiritual, that all of us in our own way have had to go through some kind of a shift. I'm talking about on a minor level with the February energies, and whether it's a change in our perspective or something that we had to do in our physical lives. And then we're able to really tap into the spiritual, and in some cases even do things, make changes that are, enhancing your spiritual life, because we've gotten the other stuff taken care of. It's kind of almost like a test where we're able to not allow anything to throw us off our game. And I don't like to think of challenges as tests necessarily. That sounds like too Piscean age, but I still think that it comes out that way. I think that whenever you go through a challenge and you come out the other end, you might feel like you graduated from something, like you were able to solve that problem and to deal with that, to endure that pain or whatever it was. And you can look at it in a self-empowering way. So I would say, like, if you want to launch something, March is an awesome time. But in particular, from mid-month on, when Mercury comes out of its shadow. I don't like to talk about shadow periods of planets because that does take up a lot of the time of, the transit. I mean, it adds more days where you're not, you might not want to do something. But in this particular case, I'm going to bring it up because the fact that there's a new moon on the date when it goes out of its shadow, to me, almost I sense like a turning point in the collective. So for Taurus in particular, you also have an interesting or great, actually, transit of, on the 3rd of the month, Mars is going into Gemini. Gemini is your second house of earned income. Now, I have Taurus rising. This recording, I should always say, is for Taurus sun and rising. I'm a late degree Taurus rising, so my second house cusp is, I don't know, it might be like 12 degrees of Gemini or something. If you have the unequal house system, the houses are not going to be an even 30 degrees all the way around usually. So some of your houses might be very small, and then your second house could start, a little bit into the next sign. So some of you may not have it at the same time, but you will be getting Mars in that second house. And that the official date for it to go into Gemini is the 3rd of March. And when Mars is in the money house, the house that you rule, this is the house of you making money. It could be as simple as you're working 2 jobs. You want to make as much money as you can. Maybe there was something that kept you that you're trying to make up for because there was a lunar eclipse here at the end of November. So maybe there was a specific event where you felt depleted of resources and now you can make more money. Maybe this means you're like, if you were on a furlough or unemployed, that you're working again. Maybe it's simply working again. And there's activity there. There's signs of life, But it can also, to me, be the time when you are just motivated to make money. So maybe Mars lights a fire under you and you feel like you're just particularly driven to make money. And so that tends to give you money. If you're driven and you're putting energy into something, it tends to give it to you. So that might be a good money period when Mars is in Gemini. On the 13th, I talked about this new moon. It's at 23 degrees of Pisces. That is your 11th house, Taurus, 11th house of hopes and wishes. So that could certainly mean that there is something that is being birthed that has to do with a new dream of yours. And remember that we birth these things and then they come to fruition. If we nurture them, of course. So, yeah, dream big, but also, keep tending that flame. Don't just, dream of something and then forget about it. The 11th house is also the house of friendships or group associations. And sometimes I say that and I think, oh, who cares about that? Nobody cares about, they're going to make new friends. Well, big whoop. But the truth is that you can make friends that end up having a significant influence on your life. And I would say, especially if you are doing things that are out of the norm, because this is Aquarius's house. And this is Aquarius is a sign of being ahead of its time and being kind of eccentric. And so making friends, the collective is important too, but some of those friends may be different. Maybe they're people that are, kind of like out of the mainstream of society, and they can lead you into this whole new kind of area. And having Uranus in your sign can attract you to Uranian types of people. On the 15th, Mercury goes into Pisces. Mercury goes into that house. Also, the 11th house is the internet. So I don't know if any of you are launching websites. Again, it's a great month for starting a business or, something like that. And maybe some of you have taken advantage of the Mercury retrograde, working behind the scenes, doing things that are, not launching, but preparing. This might just simply mean with Mercury in the 11th that you're talking to your friends more, reaching out to them. On the 20th, we have the astrological new year, which is when the sun goes into Aries. In the northern hemisphere, this is the vernal equinox, which symbolizes spring. Spring is a time, the equinoxes and the solstices are power times when the sun goes into cardinal signs, and it really, I was going to say it symbolizes, but it promises change. Cardinal signs are about things happening. And even just change of the weather, right? But in the northern hemisphere, we have the added situation of spring occurring. And that really feels, if you are in a climate where you have 4 distinctive seasons, it just can feel like rebirth. There's no question about that. And, astrologically, that is the beginning of that new cycle where the sun, Aries is the first house. On the 21st, the very next day, Venus goes into Aries. Now, I have to say for you that these are both, your 12th house is Aries, Taurus. So Venus in the 12th can be that you are, romantically connected to somebody and you're not letting other people know about it. You're just seeing that person very discreetly. Maybe there are other circumstances that are making you do so. You don't want to introduce the person to your children just yet. Who knows? But the sun is there as well. And this is your hibernation period before your debut or your re-debut for your new solar cycle when the sun goes into Taurus. So this is a time when physically you may feel a little bit like run down or just not as energetic as normal. You may feel like you don't want to socialize, keep to yourself, and that is perfectly normal. You will start to gain energy when we get to late April, going into May. So on the 28th, we have a full moon at 8 degrees of Libra. So this is your, I was I was just like, okay, what house is this? Well, this is the 6th house for some of you. If you're an early degree Taurus, this is going to fall in your 6th house of work, and there's different things that can happen. It can be like you stop working somewhere, you get a promotion, you find out something, you quit, you find out something that's been going on with your coworkers and you quit, or your boss and you quit. All of the above. So the full moon brings disclosure. It can bring a completion. So maybe you have work contracts, and this just happens to be one of the times when you're going to be off for a while. But that doesn't have to be bad either, because it's making room for something else, even if it's ending work. But the other thing about the 6th house, it's the house of health. So disclosure, like maybe realizing something is going on with your body. Or I think it could even be like a healing, like, the culmination of your efforts. So that's how we end the month. This is a practical area, the 6th house, ruled by your fellow earth sign Virgo. So something coming to completion or to your awareness of a practical matter. And that's how we end March in that kind of way with a full moon at the very end of the month. And that's how I'm going to end this reading, Taurus. I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. You can see what kind of readings I offer. Have a great month. Take care. Bye.